This news right here was sent to me by Adrian Thomas, and many of you should know who both of these guys are. But in case you don't know, the one on the left is Jason Mitchell, actor. He was best known for playing Eazy-E and Straight Outta Compton. And then, of course, he ended up being on The Shy. And then that whole scandal happened, and then he got kicked off the show. I think they killed his character off, more so off screen. And just a whole bunch of stuff happened within that whole scandal that made me stop watching the show. Not necessarily just because of what happened with him, but more so how it was handled, and because of the showrunner Lena Waithe and how much I just have a disdain towards her. And the person on the right is Sean Bell. Now, those of us who are of a certain age remember what happened to Sean Bell. Of course, he was the man who was brutally murdered by those terrorists back in 2006 on the night of his wedding, well, the night before his wedding, when he was leaving his bachelor party. Well, now there is a biopic that will be made honoring or talking about Sean Bell, and they have picked Jason Mitchell to play him. And the name of the movie, or the title that is going to be called, for now, unless they change it, is going to be called 50 Shots. I'm going to read this article and see what else we can find out. Jason Mitchell's next big role is incredibly timely. He's portraying the life of a black man shot and killed by cops just hours before his wedding, one of the most controversial police-involved shootings in recent history. Jason, who previously played Eazy-E and Straight Outta Compton, has landed the role of Sean Bell in the film, aptly titled 50 Shots, a reference to 50 bullets cops fired in 2006, killing Sean in Jamaica, Queens. Bell was only 23 and had just finished celebrating his bachelor party with his dad and two friends when cops opened fire on their car. Undercover terrorists investigating a nearby strip club believed the men were armed, but they were not. 4 years later, the city settled with Bell's family for $7 million, but three of the terrorists who opened fire were fully acquitted. It's one hell of a story, one Jason couldn't pass up when he read the script. Jason, an executive producer along with True Vision Films, initially read for the part of one of the undercover cops. But as he read the script, he immediately asked instead to play Sean's role because he wanted to help tell his story, and True was all for it. The movie, which has been in the works for 3 years now, will be filmed in Queens, is one of the many projects centered around the tragic incident. But Sean's family feels this one is special because they've been so involved, especially Sean's father, William. We're told he's spoken with Jason almost every day since he has taken that role. And I'm actually looking at a picture right here on the site, and from which I'm reading from, which is TMZ, that has Jason Mitchell and Sean Bell's dad. Two major things I'm liking about this already. One, that they got an American-born black actor to play an American-born black man. That's one major part that I think many people are going to be satisfied with, because, so many times, we hear these type of things and who they'll go get. Two, I like the fact that the family is involved with this. I always feel that if a biopic is done about somebody, that the family needs to be completely hands-on with this as much as they possibly can. Or if the biopic is about a person that's still living, that the person who is alive needs to be hands-on as well, because they can tell their story better than anybody else. So I think those are major aspects in that. And I thought it was interesting that they said Jason Mitchell actually wanted to play one of the cops, but then when he read the part, he said, "You know what, I want to play Sean Bell," which I think was actually a good thing for him to do. But they said they've been working on it for 3 years now, and it looks like they're finally about to start filming this movie. They probably would have started sooner, but the woo-woo happened, and then production halted, not on just this but other things. But I'm curious to see how this is going to be. I have a feeling, no pun intended, that this movie is going to trigger me, much like Fruitvale Station did, with Oscar Grant. And that too was the same feel, because you had the family's involvement. As a matter of fact, the family was so involved that, in case y'all didn't know, when Michael B. Jordan played that part, he actually was wearing some of the clothes, if not all the clothing items, that Oscar Grant owned. So he was actually, those weren't clothes that they went to a store or maybe a thrift store or something like that and purchased for him to wear as a costume design. they, according to what I've heard, he was actually wearing Oscar Grant's clothes in the movie. So it made him feel like he was really becoming him. And it actually looked legit, because when you look at the clothes that he was wearing, it fit 2009, baggy jeans, tall tees and everything like that. But I'm interested to see how this movie is going to pan out, because this was a huge deal back in 2006 when this happened. It literally shocked or was that what they will say rocked the nation when this occurred. And of course, they got off for what they did. And I can't even remember the terrorists' names. I don't even think I ever found out what their names were when this happened. All I could think about was how horrific this was. And this is going to be very interesting, because this is going to be something for, as traumatic as it will be to see, it'll be something for his daughter, Sean Bell's daughter, to watch, because as you know, while he was engaged to this woman, they also had a child, and the little girl was only like a toddler at the time. So she doesn't remember her dad. And from what I've seen, she actually just recently, if it wasn't last year, it may have been this year, where she graduated from high school. I want to say that she graduated from high school. And if I'm also not mistaken, I want to say that Sean Bell's fiance also had another child from a previous relationship, if I'm not mistaken, and she just recently graduated, I think, from college or something. I can't really get it right, but I do know that Sean Bell's daughter that he had with his fiance did just recently graduate from high school. I do know that, and I swear, when you look at her face, she looks just like her dad. Like when they have the whole face. Like when you're looking at her, you're looking at him. So I think this is good, that this will be, something to see, as traumatic as it's going to be, because she doesn't have any recollection memories of her dad. She was just a baby. So it's unfortunate at the same time that the only time that she'll really ever see something of her dad will be his last moments, of being alive. But, shout out to Jason Mitchell. I know they probably gonna give him some some pushback against this, because what happened with him on The Chi and everything like that. Don't worry, it comes with the territory. They did the same thing with Nate Parker when he did Birth of a Nation. But I actually will look out for this, whenever they decide to release it, because I do want to see how this is going to pan out.